Hi, everybody. Nathan Jennison here of the Mortgage Architects, talking about the changes that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are making for condos to qualify for a conventional loan. Now, this does not yet affect FHA, but that could change in short order. So we'll see whether or not that follows in suit. Now, in terms of what you need to know, some of these changes have already taken place. And so let's discuss what these are, because there's some good news mixed in with this, even though there's some definitely bad news as well. We will expect to see more HOAs becoming non-warrantable, or in terms of a conventional loan, and having to go with what is considered on the non-QM side. Now, keep in mind, if your condo goes non-warrantable, what you're looking at is that minimum down payment that a buyer is going to have is going to be at least 10%. The reality is, if it's 10%, their interest rate is probably going to be close to 2% higher than it would be otherwise with a conventional loan. If they're able to put down 15%, then they're looking at having an interest rate that's probably about 1% higher from a conventional loan standpoint. And the reality is that that's going to shrink the pool of buyers for that condo, and it's going to likely affect the resale value. So it's something that we want to be thinking about. There's three main dates to be aware of. One is already effective. And that is that the investor limitation, in terms of it can't be more than 50% of investors in a property, that has now gone away as of immediately. So you are good there. Now, there's going to be the other date that's going to be taking effect is going to be August 3rd. And what's changing on August 3rd is that we're looking at the limited review, which if there was a property that was on the Fannie Mae approved list, we could do a limited review in that situation and squeak by without having to have all of the documents. That is done as of August 3rd. That's closing the loophole in which there was potentially some issues that could essentially not be found because they weren't having to do a full questionnaire. And in that situation, like, that is now done. So what that means is that for every condo property that has more than 10 units, there's going to be full review, meaning all condo documents, HOA budget, reserves, insurance, meeting minutes, litigation status, occupancy ratios, whether or not there's deferred maintenance, all of that is coming into play. And so that will likely push more condos into the non-warrantable side. Also, there is going to be some relief on insurance. So there's a little more opening in terms of what that replacement cost language looks like. And then also the roof, there does not have to be replacement cost of roof. And so that gives a little bit more options there. There are options now to allow $50,000 of per unit deductible. And so that's going to be good on the condo side as far as relieving some of the insurance cost. However, that's going to be offset by the actual tenants having to have additional insurance to cover that increased deductible. Now, good news here is small projects. So small projects being 10 or fewer units, those are going to be able to waive the actual review. And so that's going to potentially be very beneficial. If they are in the 5 to 10 unit range and they are part of a master HOA that has more, or it's larger, or is part of a larger property, then they will not qualify in that situation. So something to be aware of. All right, this is huge though. Effective January 4th, and this is the one that makes me a little bit nervous, is that ultimately condos, their budget reserves are going to have to move from 10% to 15%. They can have a reserve study that's done the last 36 months. And if they do have a reserve study, they cannot go with the baseline minimum in terms of reserves required. They have to go with the top line. And so essentially just factor in that you're looking at 15% of budget reserves. That is going to cause a lot of HOAs to increase the monthly HOA dues. And that's going to put further pressure on the tenants. And so, and also all of this is going to put pressure on who it is that wants to actually purchase that property. In terms of condo valuations, I'm a little bit nervous in terms of whether or not a lot of HOAs are going to be able to weather this and how it's going to affect the resale value of the condo market in general. So it's something to be aware of, especially if you have buyers that are looking to purchase condos now. The blacklist. So ultimately, be aware that if a property lands on a list as far as not being eligible, then that's going to be a problem, and it's going to flag and push a lot of deals into the non-warrantable space. Ultimately, what's going to have to be done in those situations is full reviews, and we're going to have to clear all of the flags that got placed on it. So when you are looking at making an offer on a condo, you want to be asking questions of that listing agent and the HOA. You want to be understanding where the reserves are set. If it's going to be below 15%, then it's going to be pushing it towards an FHA loan or ultimately a non-warrantable non-QM loan. Inadequate or non-compliant insurance coverage is always an issue. In Colorado, keep in mind that 10% on wind, hail is not acceptable. It has to be a 5% deductible. And so that continues to be an issue. Deferred maintenance or any structural issues or any critical maintenance that has not been done, that will still kill the deal. Active litigation is going to be something that kills deals. And we no longer have to worry about the investor concentration over 50%. So that is great. If you're writing an offer on a condo, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss that situation and make sure that you're covering the basis and make sure that we are in the best situation possible for moving forward. Thanks again. I appreciate all of you listening to this, and reach out to me with your scenarios. In the meantime, here's the legal jargon.